apparently I, female, 24, am the designated family servant while also paying rent. Is this normal? Throwaway because my sister follows my main account. So I graduated with my marketing degree last year and actually managed to land a pretty decent full-time job at a local marketing firm like 2 months after graduation, which honestly felt like a miracle in this economy. My parents, Grace, female 58, and Roger, male 61, suggested that I move back home to save money for a down payment instead of wasting money on rent. At the time, it seemed like a good idea. I mean, the housing market is insane right now, and I had student loans to pay off and everything. They're charging me $600 a month, plus I split utilities with them, which I thought was pretty fair at first. But my friend Terry just got a place downtown with a roommate and is paying like $750 total for a way nicer situation and doesn't have to deal with parents breathing down her neck 24/7. Like, I basically have all the restrictions of being a teenager again, but I'm also paying for the privilege. I need to explain the whole family dynamic thing because it's driving me insane. My sister Jessica, female, 32, has always been the golden child in our family. She got married young to this guy Rob, who my parents adore, even though he's kind of a jerk to be honest. And they have 2 kids, Lily, female 5, and Ethan, male 3. Jessica never had to pay rent when she lived at home. Not before college, not during summers, not after graduation. She lived at home rent-free until she got married at 25, but somehow I'm expected to pay $600 a month. Make it make sense. I'm basically expected to be the free weekend babysitter for my niece and nephew. Don't get me wrong, I love those kids, but Jessica just assumes I'll watch them every other weekend, so she and Rob can have their date nights. She doesn't even ask anymore, just texts me, dropping kids off at 6 on Friday, like I don't have my own life. When I tried to say no one weekend because I had plans with friends I hadn't seen in months, my mom made me feel terrible about it. She told me family comes first and that Jessica needs breaks sometimes and that I'll understand when I have my own kids. So of course I canceled my plans and watched the kids. Again, I don't even know if I want kids at this point, honestly. Like, seeing how exhausted Jessica is all the time doesn't exactly make motherhood look appealing. But my mom acts like it's just a given that I'll get married and have babies soon. She keeps making these comments about how I should put myself out there more and wear more flattering clothes to attract a guy. Meanwhile, I'm focused on my career, which is going really well, by the way. Just got a small promotion last month, but no one in my family seemed to care. Living here is just suffocating. My parents act like I'm still 16. They ask where I'm going every time I leave the house. My dad literally made a comment about me coming home late last weekend. I'm 24. I was out until midnight on a Saturday with friends at a restaurant. Not exactly wild behavior. And don't even get me started on the double standard with Jessica. When she comes over, which is like all the time, they treat her like royalty. My mom will spend all day cooking Jessica's favorite foods. They'll watch her kids whenever she needs. But when I asked if they could pick up some groceries for me when I was working late last week, my dad told me I'm an adult now and need to manage my time better. I can't with this anymore. The constant comparisons to Jessica, the expectations, the entitlement to my time while also making me pay rent. It's too much. Oh, and to be clear about the babysitting thing, I'm not getting paid at all for watching the kids. Not a single dollar. And it's not like an hour or two, it's usually Friday night through Saturday afternoon for free while paying rent. Make it make sense. I know I probably sound ungrateful. They did let me move back in, and $600 isn't like extortionate or anything, but it's the principle of the thing. The double standards with Jessica drive me crazy, and the expectation that I'll just drop everything to help with her kids while also paying rent is starting to feel really unfair. I love my parents, I really do. And I love Jessica and the kids. But I feel like I'm stuck in this role of responsible daughter who helps everyone, while also being treated like a child who can't make her own decisions. It's like I get all the downsides of living at home with none of the benefits my sister got. Last week was the final straw. Jessica called me at work to say she needed me to pick up Ethan from daycare because he had a fever. I told her I was in the middle of a presentation with a client, which was true. And she got all huffy and said my job was more important than family, then hung up on me. Then my mom called 10 minutes later to guilt trip me about it. I ended up having to reschedule the whole presentation, and my boss was not happy. I've been looking at apartments online lately. There's one above this Thai place downtown that's actually in my budget if I'm careful. But every time I bring up moving out, my mom gets this hurt look and reminds me I was supposed to be saving for a house, or says it's expensive out there, or asks who will help Jessica with the kids. That's literally not my problem. Sorry, I'm getting worked up again just thinking about it. I'm just tired. Tired of feeling like a guest who pays rent in my parents' house. Tired of the double standards with Jessica. Tired of being expected to be the responsible one who helps everyone else, but never gets the same support in return. Something's gotta give, because I don't think I can keep doing this much longer. Edit. Wow, I didn't expect this to blow up. To answer some common questions, yes, I've tried talking to my parents about the babysitting thing, but they just don't get it. They say things like, "That's what family does," and "Jessica would do the same for you if you had kids," which, doubtful. Edit 2. For those asking why I agreed to this arrangement in the first place, I honestly thought it would be temporary, like 6 months max, while I got on my feet. It's been almost a year now, and the situation has gotten progressively worse. And yes, I did know they would charge me rent, but I didn't realize all the strings that would be attached. Edit 3. Several people have pointed out that my parents are financially abusing me, and this is a toxic situation. I guess I never thought about it that way. My parents aren't bad people, they just have this weird blind spot when it comes to Jessica versus me. But you're right that I need to prioritize my own mental health. Edit 4. No, I can't just stop paying rent without moving out, because that would make the situation at home even more unbearable. And yes, I've tried setting boundaries, but they just get steamrolled. Thanks for all the supportive comments. It helps to know I'm not crazy for feeling this way. Now for the first update. So a lot has happened since my last post. First of all, thank you to everyone who commented on my last post and made me feel like I wasn't being completely unreasonable. I took everyone's advice and I moved out, like completely out. And now everything is simultaneously better and worse. And I'm still processing all of it. So last Tuesday, while my parents were both at work, I just left. I had been secretly packing up my stuff for like a week, putting boxes in my car whenever no one was home, storing some things at my friend Terry's place temporarily. I know that sounds kind of sneaky, but honestly, if I had told my parents I was moving out there, would have been this whole dramatic thing with guilt trips and tears but who will help Jessica with the kids? And I just couldn't deal with that. To everyone who said I should have a mature conversation with them first, I tried that multiple times, but they literally don't listen to me ever. I actually paid rent through the end of the month because I'm not a complete jerk, even though a bunch of commenters said I should just leave lol, and left a note saying I needed space to focus on my career and would call them in a few days. Pretty mature of me considering everything, right? Then I turned my phone off completely for 24 hours while I set up my new place. And let me tell you, that was the most peaceful 24 hours I've had in months, maybe years. Just not having to explain myself to anyone or feel guilty about literally every single thing I do. Oh, right, my new apartment. It's actually the one I mentioned in my last post above the Thai restaurant downtown. It's small, but it's mine. And I don't have to answer to anyone about when I come home or where I'm going or why I'm not wearing flattering clothes. Still mad about that comment, to be honest. The place isn't perfect. The hallway smells like curry, one window only opens halfway, and the bathroom sink drips. But I don't care because it's my place and I can do whatever I want. I found this couch at a garage sale for like $50 that fits perfectly in my living room. It has this weird 70s floral pattern that my mom would hate, which makes me love it even more, lol. Anyway, so after getting the basic stuff set up, bed, couch, enough kitchen stuff to not starve, I finally turned my phone back on and holy shit, 27 missed calls and 43 text messages. Not even exaggerating. I counted. Most were from my parents, but there were also like 8 from Jessica that basically went from asking where I was, since I was supposed to watch the kids, to calling me selfish, to telling me I need to call mom right away because she's upset. Notice how she didn't ask if I was okay or why I felt the need to move out suddenly. Yeah, the messages from my parents were a wild emotional roller coaster. Like they literally hit every possible emotion. First, it was rage. My dad sent this long paragraph about how disrespectful and ungrateful I am. He actually said, "After everything we've done for you," which made me laugh because what exactly have they done for me recently except take my money and treat me like a child servant? Then it was panic, asking where I was, if I was safe, and saying they were worried. Which, I'm 24 years old. I have a full-time job. I left a note saying I was moving out and would call them. It's not like I disappeared without explanation. Then it switched to guilt tripping, telling me my mother was crying, asking how I could do this to them, and saying Jessica had plans that night that were now ruined, because clearly Jessica's date night is the most important thing here. And then it went to bargaining, saying they could reduce my rent, respect my privacy more, and asking me to come home so we could work things out. My favorite was when my mom said they never meant to make me feel unvalued. And I was like, really? Because you literally showed me how much more you value Jessica every single day. I finally called them that night, and it was not great. My mom cried the whole time, and my dad kept interrupting me. They said I should have talked to them instead of just leaving. And I reminded them that I had tried talking to them multiple times, but they never listened. The worst part was when they brought up Jessica's kids. My mom asked who was going to help with the children now, as if that's my responsibility somehow. I finally snapped and told them maybe their actual parents should figure that out, and my dad got all huffy about my attitude. I honestly don't know what they expected, that I would just keep paying rent and be their on-call babysitter, and let them treat me like a teenager forever. Like, what was their long-term plan here? By the way, Jessica still hasn't called me directly. She's just been sending these passive-aggressive texts about how selfish I'm being and how family is supposed to help each other. But funny how that help only ever goes one direction. My parents keep trying to guilt me into coming to this big family reunion at my grandparents' lake house next weekend. My mom said, everyone will be so disappointed if I'm not there. And I wanted to say, yeah, I bet Jessica will be really disappointed that she has to actually watch her own kids for a weekend. I haven't decided if I'm going to go yet. Part of me wants to show everyone I'm fine and not like having a mental breakdown or whatever story my parents are probably telling people. But also the thought of being trapped at the lake house with my entire family judging me sounds like actual torture. My parents have now switched to this weird strategy where they're acting all concerned about me living alone. My mom keeps texting me about safety tips for women living alone, and my dad sent me links to articles about apartment break-ins in the city. Like subtle, guys. Really subtle. But despite all the drama, I feel lighter. Like I can actually breathe for the first time in forever. Last night, I stayed up until 2 a.m. watching a dumb reality show just because I could. No one asked where I was going when I went to get groceries. I left dishes in the sink overnight, and the world didn't end. I know it sounds stupid, but these little things feel like such a big deal to me right now. I just want to be treated like the adult that I am. Edit. A bunch of people are asking if I'm financially stable. Yes, I have a good full-time job, mentioned in my last post, and my rent here is actually less than what I was paying my parents when you factor in utilities and everything. I've done the math, and I can definitely afford this place. Edit 2. To everyone saying I should have given more notice before moving out, maybe you're right, but my parents would have made those last few weeks absolutely miserable with guilt trips and passive-aggressive comments. And I did pay through the end of the month, so they're not out any money. Edit 3. Someone asked about my relationship with Jessica before all this. We were actually pretty close when we were younger. But ever since she had kids, our relationship has basically become her asking me for favors and free childcare. I love my niece and nephew. I really do, but I can't be their unpaid nanny forever. Now for the second update. So I finally made a decision about the family reunion. I went, and honestly, I wish I hadn't. I'm still processing everything, but I feel like I need to get this all out. First, to answer everyone who asked in my last post, no, my parents still haven't apologized for how they treated me. They've just switched tactics from anger to this weird concerned parent act. And yes, I've been doing really well in my new apartment. It's been almost 2 weeks of independence. Well, until this weekend happened. So the reunion. I kept going back and forth about going right up until the last minute. I mean, literally the last minute. I was still debating as I threw clothes in a bag Friday morning. I think part of me wanted to show everyone I was fine. like to counter whatever story my parents were probably telling the family. Plus, my grandparents are getting older, and I do actually like most of my extended family. They've always been pretty cool to me. The drive up to my grandparents' lake house is about 3 hours, and I swear I almost turned around like 3 separate times. First, when I was only 20 minutes in and realized I forgot my phone charger, but then remembered I had one in my glove compartment. Then again, when I hit terrible traffic. And then again, when I was like an hour away and just got really nervous. I had to stop for gas about halfway there. And I'm not even exaggerating when I say I had a full-on panic attack in the gas station bathroom. Like sitting on the floor trying to remember how to breathe while some lady kept knocking asking if I was okay. Not my finest moment. I kept thinking about having to face everyone and wondering what my parents had told them, and if Jessica would be extra awful to me and just everything. But I pulled myself together, sort of, and kept driving. I kept telling myself, I'm an adult with a good job and my own place, and I haven't done anything wrong, over and over, like some weird mantra. I got to the lake house around 2 p.m., and almost everyone was already there. I sat in my car for like 10 minutes just trying to get mentally prepared. The look on my parents' faces when I walked in, I wish I had a picture. My mom actually gasped. My dad just got this really tight expression, like they were genuinely shocked I had the audacity to show up to a family event that I was invited to. The weirdest part was how they immediately went into damage control mode. My mom hugged me, awkwardly, and then my dad pulled my uncle Norman aside, literally within 2 minutes of me arriving. I could see them talking in the corner and kept catching my dad glancing over at me while they talked in these hushed voices. My Aunt Andrea barely acknowledged me when I said hi, just gave me this kind of dismissive nod, and I immediately thought, great, they've already turned everyone against me. But then later I found out she had a massive migraine and was basically ignoring everyone equally, lol. So that was just me being paranoid, I guess. But I wasn't being paranoid about everything else. Throughout the afternoon, I kept noticing my parents pulling different relatives aside for these private conversations. And like clockwork, after each of these little chats, that person would either avoid me completely or give me these weird looks. My cousin Zach, who I've always been close with, was super normal with me at first, joking around like usual. Then I saw my mom corner him by the drink table talking intensely for like 5 minutes. After that, he barely spoke to me the rest of the day. When I asked him what was up, he just mumbled something about not wanting to get in the middle of family stuff and walked away. My grandma, who never takes sides in family fights, kept giving me these sad, disappointed looks, which honestly hurt worse than if she'd been mad at me. By dinner time, it was so obvious that my parents had been spreading some version of events that made me look terrible. I was sitting at the kids' table, even though most of us are adults now, lol, and could literally hear snippets of conversation from the main table. My mom saying, just so ungrateful after everything, and worried about her mental state, honestly. My dad saying something about typical selfish behavior, and never considers anyone but herself. Jessica chiming in with, left me stranded with the kids multiple times, which is a complete lie. I never once bailed on babysitting when I actually agreed to it. I was so angry I couldn't even eat, just sat there pushing food around my plate while trying not to cry. I felt like I was 12 years old again, the family disappointment. The worst part was when I overheard my Uncle Norman, who has always been my favorite, say something like, just seems really immature to move out with no notice. They completely left out the part where they were charging me rent while treating me like an unpaid nanny/servant. Convenient, right? I almost got up and made a scene right there. Almost. But something in me just stopped. What was the point? They would never see my side of things, so I just quietly excused myself and went down to sit on the dock alone. I stayed there for like an hour, trying not to completely break down. My grandpa eventually came and sat with me. He didn't say much, just asked if I was doing okay on my own. I told him about my new place and my job, and he seemed genuinely happy for me. He did ask why I left so suddenly, and I gave him the short version, that I was paying rent, but being treated like a child and expected to provide free childcare whenever Jessica wanted. He seemed surprised about the rent part, said something like, I thought you were staying there to save money, and I laughed and told him about the $600 a month plus utilities I was paying. His eyebrows shot up at that. When we went back up to the house, I noticed him talking to my parents, and they both looked uncomfortable. So, at least one person might have gotten my side of the story. I ended up sleeping in the bunk room with my younger cousins, instead of in the main guest room where I usually stay. Partly to avoid my parents, but honestly also because my little cousins are the only ones who weren't weird with me all day. This morning, I left super early before most people were even awake. Couldn't handle another day of this. I left a note for my grandparents saying I wasn't feeling well and needed to get back to the city. I'm back home now. Still feels weird calling my apartment home, but also feels right. I've been ignoring calls from my parents and Jessica. I did text my grandparents to let them know I got home safe. Healing. I can't believe they're spinning this story where I'm the ungrateful, selfish one. They're literally telling everyone I abandoned the family, while conveniently leaving out all the context about how they treated me. I don't even know what to do now. Part of me wants to mass text the entire family with my side of the story, but that would probably just make me look more unstable or whatever my mom is telling people I am. So yeah, that's the update. Family reunion was a disaster. Found out my parents are basically running a smear campaign against me. Cool. Edit. Several people have asked if I confronted my parents directly about what they were saying. No, I didn't. I was honestly too shocked and hurt in the moment, and I knew it would just turn into this big scene in front of everyone. And yes, I've considered writing an email to the extended family to explain my side, but I'm worried that would just make things worse.